Hi everyone, this is Benji Uyama. I am so excited to finally get to you a full in-depth tutorial and just a basically more lengthy webinar to answer this simple question of how do you frame your story and your faith to find your people, to find your tribe and build your tribe, and find the people online that are already asking the questions that you have answers to, and how to find those people that think like you. It's possible. So many people are doing it right now, and I'm working with lots of people currently who are doing this and want to do this more. So I just had to share this content publicly, and instead of talking to them individually, I just decided to start this channel that you're watching right now and just make it part of my mission and my calling to help people of faith, people of more spiritual and religious mindedness, share content online, build their tribes, and just change the world and the internet to be used for God and by God. So I really believe that, and that's just my calling. I've been doing online marketing and content creation for God for the last decade, and this is really my life's work. I've learned so much. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes. I don't have all the answers, but I am constantly studying this stuff, and I'm always up to the minute. You can always trust that I'm always following the top of the top, the biggest people and names in this industry to figure out what is working for marketing, what is working for building audiences and tribes. And this video right here is going to be everything that goes into all of that. And I'm also, if you have additional questions that aren't addressed here, I'm going to hit all the big FAQ questions that you might have right here in this video. But if you have other questions that aren't addressed that are more specific, you can type them in the comments of this video and I'll just answer them. Simple as that. If you have more specific questions for your kind of narrative and for the content that you want to create. And also I'm going to put more videos down below that kind of go in more detail and depth into specific topics that are more nitty-gritty and tech-based. So you can also check out those videos once you're through with this video, right? So we're just going to hit all the main questions. But before we do that, I just want to say you have to subscribe to this channel. I mean, this is the only place on the internet where we're going to be talking about this kind of stuff. And my only job, my calling, I don't know, just my life has just been a series of events that has led me to do the same thing that you're trying to do, and actually help other people do the same thing, to create content for God, to become an army of content creators for God, and really just share our faith in whatever you believe in, whatever your faith is. I'm here to hold your hand and bring you along this journey. So if you have questions, subscribe so that you can get all the content, and also like this button, like this video, hit the like button, because it actually does help more people find this content, and you'll learn more about that and why that's important in just a second. All right, so here we go, answering all the questions. So some examples of people that I'm working with right now currently to help do this. It's so beautiful and inspiring that I just had to start this. So we have a number of young individuals who are teenagers, one 15-year-old boy who wants to start a YouTube channel about saving his sexuality for marriage, saving himself for marriage and for his future spouse. A beautiful way, a thing to share on the internet that a lot of people are dying for that kind of content. It's not currently framed in the right way or readily available for many teenagers. We have another young adult man who wants to share his experience and how difficult it was to save himself from marriage. Another guy who wants to do it. We have another sister who wants to do that. I also have an older man, a number of elders, 60 plus, 70 plus years old, a 65-year-old man who wants to share his experience about how he overcame pornography. And he wants to help other people do the same thing, which is a beautiful expression of his faith. And he wants to help people do that and experience God. And another woman who wants to express how her marriage and her relationship with God inside her marriage completely transformed her life and transformed her relationship with her children. These are all beautiful stories that have to be shared. And I know for a fact that every single person, especially you, have that story, have that experience that you can frame and narrative that you can portray online. Like I said, there's so many people that are doing this already in a religious context or not in a religious context, and there's no reason at all that you can't do the same thing. All right, so again, if you have questions or comments, please ask your questions in the comments and I'll be sure to get them. So the first question we get into, and I know that you're wondering, is content creation for you? Is this whole thing for you? And is this really something that you can do, right? So to answer that question simply, I'm going to ask you two questions, all right? Number one, what are you most grateful for in your life? What are you just the most grateful for? If you were to list everything you're grateful for, what is the most important thing in your life that you're so grateful for every day, every morning you wake up? What is that thing? And then second question is, after you identified that, how has that thing changed your life? How is that thing that's most important to you changed your life? Whether it's your family, your marriage, whether it's your faith, whether it's your belief, whether it's your faith religious community, whatever it may be, how did that change your life? If you can identify those things, God bless you. You have a story. You have something worth sharing. You absolutely do. I promise you do. And I promise that the people are out there who want the same thing that you have. And that is your narrative. That is your framework going into this and becoming a content creator is, hey guys, I'm not trying to make money. This is your narrative. I'm not trying to make money. I'm not trying to build an audience. I don't need to. I simply have something that changed my life and I want the same for you. And I cannot help but share this information with you. That is your narrative. That's also my narrative for making this YouTube channel. It is a beautiful thing that we don't see very often in the online internet marketing entrepreneurial space, is that framework. I'm just trying to help you. I don't need anything from you. I'm trying to give everything what you have. That is a completely different game, and people will be drawn to that. People will love that. People will be attracted to that. So that's basically to answer your question. Is content creation for me? Yeah, absolutely. There are so many things on the internet that are just wrong. And if you're here, I think you would agree. There is so much on the internet that is just terrible, just garbage right now. And the current trajectory of how the internet is being used by our culture and society, by the Satan, whatever you want to call it, is just utter garbage. And I'll talk a lot about this throughout the channel, but this is the only way that we're going to change things. It's the only way. It is not going to change at the top level. It is not going to change at the level of Hollywood or the Grammys or the social networks or the big tech companies. It is not, and it's not happening there. It's not. It's happening from the ground level. It's happening from you and I utilizing these platforms that we're talking about, such as YouTube, such as Google, such as social platforms, to make a difference, to share our faith, to create an audience. It is entirely possible. And I believe that this is the purpose of the internet. I do. Do you think about that? I don't know if God has a plan for the internet. I have no idea. I'm not a prophet, I think. You can let me know in the comments if you think I don't think I'm a prophet. I just know that God is an opportunist. I've seen this in my own life. God uses whatever opportunity God has to change things, to shake things to world, to change the world. And this has been throughout all of human history. God has used opportunities like this. And I think that's what the internet is for now. And that starts right here. And I think that's my calling. So answer your question, is content creation for you? Yes, absolutely. I think if you're watching this, you have something to share and you want to, and it's for you, all right? But we're not going to stop there. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that in this video and also subsequent videos. So be sure to subscribe. The next question is, how do you actually find these fans, right? I talk about how you only, and this is a common terminology in the internet world, is all you need to make a huge impact is 1,000 true fans. I'm not asking you to build a YouTube following of 10,000 or 100,000 or 1 million subscribers at all. I'm talking about you need to create a tribe, a following of 1,000 true fans. And that might seem like a lot to some of you, and to some of you that might be really easy. But the reason that this is infinitely more valuable to have 1,000 true fans than 1 million people who just kind of watch your content because it's entertaining or whatever, is because those 1,000 people will do anything you say. They will follow you to the end of the earth, and they just adore you and love you, and they are fans of you. And because they think like you, they agree with you, and they value the same things that you value. So how do you get from 0 subscribers or 0 fans to 1,000 true fans? Ask yourself this. If you can find 10 people, can you find 10 people, disciples if you want to call them, 10 people that think like you, that love you, that would follow you? If you can find 10 people, then you can find 100 people. Make sense? If you can find 100 people, you can find 1,000 people. It's just math, and it's just a matter of time. If you can, this is getting exciting. If you can find 1,000 people, you will reach 10,000 people. If you are consistent, and if you are consistent about your story and your narrative, and you just keep at it. You cannot succeed in this area unless you have the belief that you will succeed. Because as soon as the fear, uncertainty, and doubt seeps into your mind, then you're going to very quickly taper off, and you're just going to be dead in the water. So you have to have the mentality that I am going to succeed, and I'll tell you how to do that and how long it might take to do that. I'm going to succeed, and I'm not going to quit until I get there. I think many of us have a tendency when we start a new venture or especially a new business that we think, oh, I'll just throw some of my investment, maybe like do just a little bit so that I don't try too hard. And if it doesn't work and if it doesn't stick with people, then it's not for me. You have to have the mentality that I'm not going to give up until I succeed. I'm just going to keep going at it until I succeed. And those are the people that make it. All the huge, popular, big companies that you see, you know the stories. They start in a garage. They start with 0 subscribers. They start with nothing, and they just keep at it for years sometimes. And now they're just the biggest, most phenomenal influencers on the internet. We're not going to be there. I hope to God that you do create a 1 million subscriber YouTube channel. I hope that happens, but that's not what it takes. And I'm not particularly asking you to do that. I'm asking you to start with a goal of 1,000 true fans. All right. So we have, in terms of how to do that, we have YouTube, which I'm going to talk a lot about. We have which I think most people should do YouTube, and I'll explain why. And if you're thinking like, oh, YouTube's not for me, just hold on. I know this puts like people's hearts usually sink when they think of themselves on YouTube or anything like that. Another route to take is through blogs and to writing blogs. If you're a writer and you enjoy writing, this is a great opportunity to you. I'm going to talk a bit more about that and what it takes to do that. And then there's also utilizing Facebook and Instagram, which are more social platforms. And I know a lot of people might be in the line of thinking of that. I'm going to talk about how to use Facebook and Instagram well, but also why it's not the best use of your time. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So the next question we get into is how to create content for people that are just like you. How do you actually create content, and what kind of content you should make? And I know that's a huge question. It's like, all right, we're going to go be at this for a number of months or a number of years. What do you actually talk about? What do you actually create content about? That's a great question. So the answer here is you're identifying moments in your life that something changed, that you learned something, that you realized something, whatever that might be. An example of this is the example I used before of the man who was in his 60s and he overcame pornography, as an adult. His journey for overcoming pornography, it's very easy to identify the certain moments or milestones and the questions that people are asking along in this journey. Like, for example, do I have an addiction to pornography? How do I overcome my addiction? How does pornography affect your marriage and relationship? Like all these questions that you can just make those the topics of your videos, of your content, and then you just share your experience, you share your expertise and knowledge in it, and that's your content right there. So there's identifying these identifiable moments in your life on your journey. Another example is if you joined a faith movement or faith religion and you are asking questions about God, like does God exist? Or the more basic questions that people have, the specific to your faith, then those are perfect opportunities to build your tribe. As people have the same questions, people are going through the same thing that you went through. And isn't it just amazing if you can just provide the hand-holding experience of taking people on that journey with you, and they don't have to be alone anymore. Don't you wish you had someone like you 10 years ago, 20 years ago? As a parent, I have 2 kids myself. God, like 5 years ago, I wish I had somebody telling me like, don't worry, just keep at what you're doing. Everything will be fine. Everything will be great, So being that kind of version of yourself from the future that you wish you had, that's an excellent approach for it. So that's the content and we'll talk about more of this in this channel as well. And the other kind of content that you're going to start making from the beginning, especially when you don't have a large audience, especially when you're just getting started and you don't really know who's going to show up, is try to find searchable content. So content that is searchable, meaning content that people are already looking for. A bad example of content is something like, people like making videos about a day in the life of Benji Uyama, like. Take me on this journey of my morning routine. And it's like, that's interesting stuff if you have like a 10 million subscriber YouTube channel where people actually care, but no one on the internet, I think, cares what Benji Uyama does every morning, right? It's just not searchable content. So it's just kind of interest-based content, and interest-based content does have a place on YouTube with your content, but not in the early stages. When you're creating content early on, it's important to start with a searchable content so that you can get some traction, and people will actually start finding you and subscribing to you because they like what you say about this specific content, right? So finding searchable content, I'm gonna put another video down below that goes more into exactly how to find the searchable content, because it's not, maybe some of us might have a good idea about what is searchable and popular content, but a lot of us are like, I have no idea what people are searching. And there's a way to do that I'm going to show you. All right, I'm going to put that in a different video because it'll make this one too long if I shared it here. All right, so the next question is about YouTube specifically. Now, before you say YouTube's not for me, listen to this. So the question is, should you start a YouTube channel? My answer to that is, in most cases, absolutely yes. In most cases, you absolutely should, for a number of reasons. Number one being that YouTube is by far the simplest and easiest way to build a tribe, hands down, bar none, without a doubt. Because the nature of YouTube is that you can create a video that's of any length from 1 minute to several hours long. You can just title it whatever you want, like how I overcame pornography. I'm just using this example because I think it's inspiring and just a solid example, right, for pornography addiction. I hope I'm not flagged by YouTube for talking about porn so much in this video. But anyway, so in most cases, it's a really good idea to start a YouTube channel about for your content, right? If you are like, for example, if you're creating a content about how to overcome pornography, then you can start there and just start making content about that. And the beautiful thing is, like I was saying, is that you can just post it and then immediately find it. You can post a video on YouTube, title it whatever you want, and immediately find it. That is unheard of in the internet space. That is incredible, especially given the fact that YouTube is one of the biggest search engines in the world, and also is owned by Google, if you didn't know that. And Google is the biggest search engine in the world. And for people under 20 years old, it is actually the biggest search engine in the world right now. And this is beautiful. This is different from things like Google. Like Google searches, that's just the google.com search browser. If you post an article or a website, it takes months and months for Google to find your content and to place it in the right place in Google. And it's also very difficult. It's kind of a tedious process to write that content. But with YouTube, you can just share something and then find it immediately. So if you find those questions or the topics that are not not so competitive, this is a beautiful opportunity. You know, for example, with something like health or fitness, if you created an article for Google about health and fitness, you would be completely destroyed by the big companies that have articles that are just ranking number one on the homepage. But you can create a fitness video on YouTube, and you can immediately find it on YouTube if you search it. That is incredible information, and that's why YouTube is by far the biggest opportunity right now. But on top of that, guys, YouTube is incredible because the YouTube algorithm is designed. YouTube's only job is to provide content that the viewer wants to see, right? That's its only job. Is if I'm interested in something, YouTube will feed me content that I'm interested in seeing, and that is an excellent way to find more people that think like you, right? So if you create a subscriber base of 100 people or whatever, and they just love your content and they like what you say, chances are YouTube's going to push the same content to other people, kind of tangentially to people of the same nature. And this is why creating an audience with YouTube is so simple and easy, actually more so than any other avenue. And also, not to mention, YouTube is a search engine. People are searching things on Google, on YouTube. Facebook and Instagram this is kind of the reason why they're not as effective, is because Facebook, Instagram, social media, they're not search engines. They have search engine capabilities in the top bar, but people are not going there primarily to search for stuff. Like, when was the last time you went to Facebook and searched how to fix a dishwasher or anything like that? You know, they're going to YouTube and they're going to Google. So that's where the big audience and traffic really is. All right. So next question about YouTube, if I haven't convinced you yet, is can you monetize your YouTube channel and make money through it? And the answer is heck yeah, yes you can. This is what I'm really excited about. I don't think that your primary reason for making a YouTube channel has to be to make money. I think it can be, and I'm really excited for the idea that you can make money through YouTube. It absolutely should be in your mind that someday you will be able to monetize your YouTube channel and make an income depending on how many subscribers and also how engaged your audience is with your YouTube channel. I don't think it should be the primary driving factor, especially given this kind of more narrow topic of sharing your beliefs and building your tribe in a more religious context. If you have something that is really like very, very monetizable, then maybe you can let me know in the comments and we can try to figure it out. But for the most part, I would make this kind of like a goal of yours, but not the primary driving factor for why you're doing it, because it kind of does come off in your videos if your motivation is to just make an income. But the exciting thing is that if you have at least 1,000 subscribers, that is actually YouTube's standard for being able to monetize a YouTube channel with advertisements on it. You'll watch a video and then you'll see advertisements right in the beginning or throughout the video. In order to do that, you have to have at least 1,000 YouTube subscribers, and you have to have 4,000 hours of view time, of watch time on your channel. That's actually not so difficult. If you have the 1,000 subscribers, so there's a good chance that you already have the 4,000 watch hours. So this is also a really important milestone, because if you have 1,000 subscribers, then there's no reason you can't get 10,000 subscribers at all if you just maintain the consistency, all right? So speaking of consistency, the next question is, what kind of time commitment does it take from you to build your tribe? What is it actually going to take from you? So the basic answer to this is, I would really, really aim to do this, make a commitment for 2 years to have one video every week for 2 years. All right. That is basically the minimum commitment to making this really work. If you're doing YouTube specifically, whatever you're doing, make it a 2-year time frame, and you just decide, I'm going to be creating content every week, at least for 2 years, for 24 months. When it comes to YouTube specifically, ask yourself the simple question is, can I create one video every week for 2 years? In other words, can I create 100 video content in event of any kind? Can I create 100 pieces of content, whether it's blog articles, whether it's videos? Can you create 100 pieces of content and then just post them every week for 2 years? You don't have to do it all at once. No, not at all. You're going to do it and learn as you go. But if you can answer that question, yeah, I can see myself doing one thing every week for 2 years, then my friends, you're in business. That is what's going to take. That's just a good enough solid time that I can honestly say that, yeah, you can build a subscriber base of 1,000 people, or a true fan base of 1,000 people. I'm going to take you on that journey as well. So 2 years is a good timeline. In terms of hours, it really depends on the content of your videos. For me personally, I only spend maybe an hour or 2 hours at most for one video to put it out. And this is also because I've learned as I go. You're watching this and you're like, oh, Benji just can talk at a camera and doesn't have to edit it or anything like that. Well, I'm lazy and I don't want to, and I don't have the time to. So I just decided one day, I'm just going to talk at the camera. I'm not going to worry about what I'm saying. I'm just going to be confident enough to know that I know what I'm saying, talking about, and then just let it roll. And I don't edit the videos. I just throw them on the internet like that. And that's enough for almost everybody. I wouldn't get too far into editing and learning all those kinds of skills. It really doesn't take a lot. Of course, if you do create an audience that is 1,000 subscribers or 100 subscribers, you can do some basic editing if you want to learn that skill. It's a very valuable skill to know, and you can do that. But for me personally, in terms of time commitments, it's about 2 hours for one video, and that's about 2 hours a week. I have multiple channels, so you can do the math. But just ask, bottom line, 2 years. Like I said earlier in this video, you have to have the mindset that I will not give up until I succeed, until I meet my goal. That is just how it is. There's none of this, let me just put my feet in the water and see how it goes. It's just invest everything you have from the beginning. It doesn't have to be a lot. I'm here to tell you that it really doesn't. Like I said, I have basically like 4 or 5 YouTube channels that I'm currently posting every week for, and over time, I just honestly, like within a very short, maybe a few months or 4 or 5 months, I learned how the skills to just turn on the camera, start talking, and just feel comfortable to do that. You're not talking to thousands of people. Here's the thing: when you're creating video content, at least you're not talking to thousands of people. Your content will be viewed by thousands of people, but you're only talking to one person, yourself. Actually, you're not even talking to yourself. You're just talking to a camera. That's all you have to do. It's so much easier than talking to a huge audience of live people. And yeah, so that's that question, is time commitment, all right? Just do it for every week for 24 months and you'll be set. All right, so the next big question is about the different ways to build your audience, right? the different platforms to use, different avenues. So the big ones I'm going to be talking about, and the only ones that I do currently advocate, and this has been the case for many, many years, and I don't see it changing very quickly in the near future. And those avenues are YouTube, blogs, which is through Google, blog content, and Facebook/Instagram. Facebook and Instagram are they're the same company, and they're both social, so I'm just putting them together. So that's YouTube, blog, and Facebook, all right? So if you're ask yourself the question, which is the best avenue for you to go down? I'm going to talk about YouTube first because, like I said, this is the winner. This is by far, I would say, even something like 20 times more effective than I've heard people say that it's something around 20 times more effective for reaching an audience and more efficient and effective than blogs or any other avenue, simply because of the nature of video is that, well, first of all, the internet is going towards video, hands down. The days of blogs and just like following specific blogs are over. More people are inclined to subscribe to YouTube channels and to follow specific people because they trust you, because they can engage with you as a person. That is infinitely more valuable to people, so they're more likely to do that. Amongst many reasons, I mentioned YouTube is definitely the biggest winner right now. Just easy, low-hanging opportunities right there. However, the big roadblock that, as you know, is that YouTube is harder to get into, as in it's harder to get over the mental block, the mental barrier, the mental roadblock of just turning the camera on and sharing something with the world. That's basically the only issue. If you can get past that, it's faster, it's more valuable content, it's just a more effective way to build your tribe. It's way more enjoyable. I mean, it's so exciting just to put something online and then instantly see that people are watching my content and people are commenting and asking questions and all this stuff. It's so exciting, and you will just be so excited. I promise you, this is the biggest opportunity for you, and this is the best option for almost everybody. All right. So I'll talk about YouTube more in just a second in terms of what to do if you're a little bit afraid about YouTube and putting yourself on camera and what you might be able to do there. So the second option is through blogs. All right. So blog content is very valuable because people are searching online, and if you can hit those basic keywords and search terms that people are searching for, you can create content that is available on Google when people search. However, the big caveat is that it is a very difficult, more tedious skill, a learned skill that you have to learn. It's a very specific way that you have to learn how to write for Google. You can't just be a good writer really to rank first page on Google. You have to actually format things properly and write content that is long and really in depth, and you have to kind of be in the mind of the reader and answer all the questions. So I've done this for a long time, writing stuff for Google. I'll put a video down below that explains about writing blog content for Google if that's what you want to do. But let's move on to the third option, which is using social media through specifically Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so the bad thing and then the good thing, all right? The bad thing about social media is that these platforms, especially Instagram and Facebook, are notorious for keeping people on their platform and not getting them off. It's very difficult to get people who see your content, who are scrolling through Facebook, to see your content and then take action and actually do something like join a webinar or go to your website or sign up for a mailing or do anything of that nature. It's basically just like a like and maybe comment if I'm a little bit interested. But overall, the incentive, if you think about the incentive of Facebook and Instagram, they're trying to keep people on the platform as much as possible because that's how they earn revenue. That's just their business model. And it's just becoming more and more that case. So I really don't think that Facebook and Instagram are the optimal way to create an audience online right now. I mean, it's not a waste of time at all, but the big caveat is that YouTube is such a bigger opportunity for not just building community, but sharing content, immediately getting views. It's just way more efficient. So that's really the bad about Instagram and Facebook. It's really hard to get people to take action. It's really just commodity content at this point. It's really like lighthearted and they're just scrolling. It's like, oh, I like that. I don't like that. It's really, I don't like the space at all right now in the way that it's going. The good thing about Facebook and Instagram, especially Facebook right now, is that you can utilize it to share your videos and your blog content with your friends. this is a great opportunity to get things off the ground. If you're going to start a YouTube channel, I really recommend, or a blog or whatever, I really recommend that you utilize Facebook to share with the people, especially if you are passionate about what you're sharing. Just post on your own personal Facebook wall, say, hey guys, I started this YouTube channel or this blog about sharing my faith and everything I've learned and how this thing changed my life. People will love that. People will follow you, I promise. And if you don't want to, this is what I do. If you don't want to be intrusive and use your personal Facebook account to like to spam you or whatever, I think it's okay to do it once or twice or once in a while. But if you don't want to do that, you go to groups. Facebook groups are an excellent way. You're probably part of some Facebook groups in your own community or religious faith background that you can just share on that Facebook group. Like, hey guys, this is what I started and let me know what you think. People will love that too. This is really a great opportunity to use social media, is to actually share content that you're already creating. There are different ways to use social media, like creating your own group and starting your own, like getting people to join your group and to engage with you there and share content. It's an option. I don't want to say it's a waste of time because it could be valuable. However, there's something called this social media treadmill, which means that you're just putting a lot of investment, a lot of time into creating an audience and community online through Facebook, and you're just not getting traction because the nature of Facebook is people are not there to take action and to be inspired. They're just going there because they're bored or they're on the toilet or it's at night, and they're not there to learn. They're not there to experience something, to learn something. People are going to YouTube and Google because they have questions, because they want content. And that's the big opportunity here, all right? So overall, in terms of most effective platforms to build your audience, YouTube, number one, hands down. Google searches for website and blog content, number two. And number three would be social media such as Facebook and Instagram, all right? So next question is, how do you actually start a YouTube channel and build your audience? The nitty gritty of this, I know that's a big question, is how do you actually get started? You really don't need a lot of tech savviness. They've made it so easy for you. I'm gonna put another video down below that goes into the actual process of creating a YouTube channel and what it takes to do that, and also how to create your first video and put it on YouTube. So how about that? Don't be scared, guys, all right? Okay, so next question is, what skills are needed to do this, to become a content creator for God, all right? I think number one, the most important skill that you need to have is just the ability to learn as you go, just the heart of a learner, just knowing that my content is not going to be perfect the first time I put it out. The first video I put on YouTube is not going to be perfect, but just having the heart to start something because you care, because you want to get started, because you can't sit still anymore and you just want to get this out there. Just putting it out there and then learning as you go and just saying, okay, I got a comment from someone that they said, oh, I should mention this or whatever. I'll learn from that. And just go and as I learn things. So that's really number one, is being a learner. All right. The second skill that is good to have is having camera presence. All right. And I know before you say, I don't have camera presence, I'm getting all nervous or whatever, I don't care. All right. This is something that is learned, and it's something that you can probably already do. Have you ever given a speech in front of people? Have you ever given a sermon at church? Have you ever gone fundraising? Have you ever done a fundraiser or done any evangelistic efforts in your neighborhood or on campuses or anything like that? If you've done any of those, I promise you can talk to a little box, a little lens or camera on your computer, on your phone. You can do it. There's really no reason else. This is infinitely easier and so much less stressful than doing all of those things like public speaking. I promise you can do this. And the cherry on top is that you will learn as you go. You will learn new things. You will learn best practices. You will learn from yourself. And this is just a really good skill to have in today's day and age, is just how to create, have good on camera presence, right? Okay, so other technical questions. Do you need to be able to edit videos? No, you don't, actually. Testament to this video, no editing, just gonna throw it online and see where it goes. There are some points that will be valuable to edit, right? Which are if you are talking and then you kind of forget like what was that thing? And then you stop talking, and then you start talking again like that. It's important to, of course, cut out that part where you were just thinking or taking notes or whatever. That can easily be done on any computer or even on a phone, actually. But if you have a computer, a laptop, you can do it easily. I'll put a video. I'll make another video for you guys about how to edit videos so that it's simple to do. All right. And the other tech skill that's important to know, if you have it, is writing. If you are a writer of any kind, that's good if you want to do blog content. It's not entirely needed that you need to be an excellent writer at all. You definitely don't need to be a theologian. You definitely don't need to be a professor or an academic writer of any kind to write content, even for blogs, but especially for YouTube. For YouTube, you do need to write like titles of videos and like a little description about what the video is when you post it. But also for blog content, even it actually can be harmful if you're too academic focused. If you're too kind of encyclopedia-ish of a writer, it can be harmful and actually too dry. You want to learn how to be more of a blog style content writer, or like a headline writer, which is more like just like interesting, and like basically everything that you learned about academic writing you can throw out the window, because it's kind of a different set of skills, and I'll put that video down below as well. Okay, so the other thing is, if you don't know what you're doing and you have questions, this is a community that we're trying to build. If you want to post your videos down in the comments, like feel free to, and I'll check it out, and the other people who are part of this community are going to check it out too, and we'll provide feedback, or we'll just follow you and you can get some followers there. So feel free. It's not spammy to do that. I am allowing you to share your content. If it's for God, if it's for the will of God, if it's for your faith or your beliefs, then it's worth posting about, right? All right. So next question is about blogs specifically, is how do you start a blog? How do you start a website, and how do you build an audience to the blog? Again, this is a more in-depth kind of a learned skill that you can learn to do if you are inclined to write content for the internet. And I know a lot of people are, so if that's you, then I'll put another video down below about how to build a blog, all right? So next question is, we're almost done, is how to frame your story, to frame your narrative, to help other people find help other people find you. And how do you find people that think like you? And the quick answer for this is that you have to identify in your story, in your faith, in your process, that answering the question is, how did this thing that you're trying to portray in your videos change your life? And how you want to help other people do the same thing. And you just can't help but share with other people. That is your narrative right there. How did my beliefs, how did my relationship with God, with my spouse, with whatever, how did it change my life forever? And that's what I want for you. And I can't help but share that with you, right? That's my story. That's why I'm sharing this. It's because I've been sharing my faith online. I've been helping other people, specifically prepare for marriage. Young people prepare for marriage. I've been doing this for almost a decade now, and this is just my heart, and I want to share with you. So, and the other important thing to do when framing your narrative is think about you. What do you resonate with, and how do you create content for you? If you can, this is probably the best advice that I ever received from someone, was create content that is for you, that you would resonate with, and that is your audience. If you can create content for you, then those people will be drawn to you, because that's YouTube, specifically that's YouTube's only job, is to find content that things apply to. So if I started, this man that I was talking about starts a YouTube channel about overcoming pornography, it's only going to show that content to people who have searched other things about overcoming pornography, or generally interested in that content about overcoming pornography, right? A porn habit or addiction. That's the beauty of YouTube right now. That's the beauty of the internet. You're not going to get people that disagree with you, right? That's not going to happen. I know that's the big fear, is that if I start pushing my opinions or my beliefs on the internet, people are going to troll me, people are going to shoot me down, and I'm just going to get depressed and sad. That's not going to happen. I promise you. Why? Because those people are not going to find you. Why? Because YouTube's job is to keep content that people don't like away from them. If that happens, this is a really interesting thing. If for some reason you get a bunch of trolls to your video, do you know what that means, guys? That means your video was popular. That means YouTube was pushing your video to a lot of people. And that means that you'll probably have thousands or hundreds of thousands of people watching that video. And hallelujah, that is amazing news. If you have people trolling your comments and commenting on you, then that is good news. That means people are watching you. Maybe 80% of the people, or 99% of the people watch your video and are like, wow, this is so inspiring, subscribe. Maybe 1% of the people are like, what is this guy talking about? He's a, whatever, or she's a this or that, and they're going to comment or whatever. But God bless you. You've got 99% of those people that just love what you're saying. And that is good news for you. You have to get over that, all right? But the most likely scenario that will happen, if I may, is that you will find a select group of people, 1,000 people or more, that really agree with you and love what you're saying, and they will be there because they're productive. And if they make comments on your videos, then they're probably going to be constructive comments that are helpful to you to realize, like, you didn't say this, or can you talk more about this, or stuff like that. They're not going to be like, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, whatever people are saying on the internet now. They're not going to say that. They're going to they love you, they trust you, right? That's the most likely scenario that will happen. All right, so next question is, how do you choose content for your blog specifically, or your video? And I'll touch more on this in the videos down below, but essentially that's basically going through the moments in your life that you've identified that really were turning points, or you were searching for an answer that you didn't know, and then you found the answer. And God bless you, we have the internet, we have people that have answers to these questions. So that's the opportunity right now. 2 more questions. Kind of thing about advertisements is, should you use ads to build your audience? For the most people, advertisements, I do not recommend doing it, because most people don't have funds to throw into the web and see what sticks. Advertisements do work if you have a budget to do it, and you really have to play around and figure out what kind of. I've used advertisements specifically for Facebook for many years, and the reality is right now the ad rates are going up significantly, and also, like I said before, platforms are tending to keep people on their platform and not really giving us entrepreneurs opportunities to get people from one platform to our website or something and to take action. So for that reason, advertisements are, if you have the funds and you know exactly what you're doing, then yes, it's a good option. But for most people, maybe 95% of people, I would really stay away from advertisements, and you don't need them at all for the strategies that I'm talking about. And this is what's really beautiful, is for YouTube and Google and using social media, you really don't need any advertisement to make a huge impact at all. Right? So last question, and this is going to cover all our bases for this video, is how do you overcome fear, uncertainty, and doubt in yourself? And I know this is going to be hard to hear, because we all have it. Anyone who started a new venture or a new business or anything like that, there's so much fear that creeps in, and you just don't know what to do. So here's a quick answer to that. There is only good things that will happen using the strategies that I'm talking about, using specifically YouTube, that I'm really encouraging everyone to do. There is only good things that will happen. The very worst case scenario, think about that. Like in your situation, if you started this YouTube channel or created content for whatever you want to share about your faith and your beliefs or your experience, whatever is it that you want to share, what is the worst thing that could possibly happen? So identify that worst thing and then figure out, is that really that bad, right? Maybe the worst thing for you is you get a whole bunch of trolls who are just like, I can't believe you're the most, this or that, and you're just a terrible, hateful human being, and everything you say I disagree with, and it's just totally wrong, and all of those people. If that happens, the most likely scenario is your video went super viral and reached a ton of people. And in that case, that is awesome news. That is such good news. You are lucky. You are super fortunate that happened. So in the worst case scenario, there's always a positive spin that can be put on it. And you don't have to do this alone. I am here for you guys. I know that there's so many things that I wish I knew when I got started. And I'm just here in this channel trying to share everything that I know. So if that's you, do subscribe, because we're going to be posting more videos like this, and also like it so that more people can find it. If you like videos, by the way, guys, it really does help the YouTube algorithm share it with more people. It helps out this channel. It helps out me a lot. And it's something that you could, when you start your new venture, can encourage everyone to do as well. Hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. All right. All right. Thank you so much for watching this more in-depth webinar. If you have questions, again, put them in the comments or check out the videos down below that go more in depth into this. I love you. God bless. Take care.